FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's 11/20/19. Well, I always tell you, one of the areas that I've done the best is in real estate, both purchasing my own home and investing, doing flips, multifamily housing, etc. One thing I've never gotten into is investing in raw land. That means unimproved land. We're talking about lots. And there's a lot of misunderstandings about how you do it, about how you really can achieve amazing returns on it. I've seen people do it. I was at a boot camp one time, and this woman, call her Jane, really had no real estate investment experience whatsoever. Had never bought any property other than her own co-op in New York City. And I watched her buy 3 lots. She spent $18,000 on them. And within 30 days, she had sold them. They were in Lee County, Florida, had sold them for roughly double the amount of money she paid. It was either she either made $18,000 or $24,000. I don't remember exactly. And then she went and bought 6 more lots and basically repeated. And I was always intrigued. I was kind of busy, never pursued it myself, but got somebody here who is working with our good friend, Mr. Podolsky of the landgeek.com. Name is Scott Bossman. Scott, so you have been able to give up your day job and just buying lots around the country, huh?
Yes, that's true. Thanks for having me, by the way. Yeah, I'm a physical therapist. I had been a physical therapist for about 16 or 17 years before I felt the pull to do something else, to bring in some passive income into my life. And I went on kind of a year-long quest to try to figure out what I wanted to do. My wife and I were on the verge of purchasing a duplex and getting into multifamily housing. And I found Mark Podolsky on a podcast one day, and I'm forever grateful I did, because we went right into land investing, started buying and selling raw land. And before you know it, a couple of years later, I replaced my income as a physical therapist. And about a little after 3 years of doing that, I was able to quit my job. So it's been a phenomenal ride.
Amazing. So what was your first acquisition? What did you buy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mark has a few training programs. I got the DIY program. It's called the Investor Toolkit. And I was really motivated to do a deal. It's difficult with that program, but I did it. And about 6 weeks after I got that initial training program, I purchased a property, a 2.5 acre property in Colorado for $700. And I sold it just 2 weeks later for $2,800. So that was a huge wake-up call right there, proof of concept, showing that this worked.
So you bought it for $700 and sold it for
$2,800.
$2,800. How did you sell it? I mean, obviously for these small amounts, you don't use realtors and such, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I sold that property on Craigslist. That's the beauty of our business, is that our marketing costs are very, very low. So you can market on Craigslist for free. You can market on Facebook for free. You can market on Zillow for free. And, those lower value properties, they actually sell quite quickly. You can buy buyers that are able to make, a very affordable purchase like that, a couple $1,000s, or, what I really enjoy is selling to people on terms and creating passive income for a number of years on a deal.
Yeah. So what's your favorite state for buying properties in?
Well, I'll just say I work in a lot of states. I would say out west is best. First of all, the market is absolutely vast. It's really hard to wrap your head around how big this market is. Mark, has always said we'll run out of money before we run out of land. Mm-hmm. Initially, I had a hard time believing that, but the longer I'm in this business, I believe him. There are so many areas that you can buy and sell land. So I would say I've done a lot of deals out west, California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. Truth of the matter is, you don't need very many areas to do this. You can really make a living doing this business in 1 or 2 counties. So you just have to find the spot that's right for you and go from there.
So basically, is there any state that you stay away from that you don't want to do business in? Legal reasons or otherwise?
The equation really works everywhere, I think. But what we find is that the properties out east of the Mississippi, the population density is higher out there. The land is a lot more expensive. The holding fees are a lot more expensive as far as annual taxes and POA fees and that type of thing. It's a lot easier to make hay out west, where you can, my bread and butter deal is I'll purchase a property for $1,500 and I'll flip it for, $4,500 cash, or maybe $6,500 to $7,000 on terms over, 4 to 6 years. You can really, the velocity of those deals is quite substantial, because you can easily find a buyer for, $100 down, $150 a month.
Really? It's that easy, huh? So are more and more people doing this? What's going on with it? It seems like a kind of niche investing.
It's definitely a niche investing. The Land Geek, Mark Podolsky, would say it's not sexy. So a lot of people don't do it. But I would say that, more and more people are doing it, but we're not even putting a dent in the market, honestly.
So is it better to do it your way or wait for the auction?
Well, I think it's better to do it our way, because basically what we do is we target people who are distressed. Now, when I say distressed, it means they may have back taxes. Maybe they've just owned the property for 30 years and they don't know how to get rid of it. And it's a lower value property, and realtors typically don't like land because they don't make a lot of money on land.
Sure.
So, we're able to purchase property for pennies on the dollar from these owners before they go to tax auction. Most times when these properties go to tax auction, it's okay to buy those properties, but you have to remember that there is a redemption period on those properties when you pick them up from tax auction. So, for instance, in Colorado, if I picked up a property at tax auction, there would be a 9-year redemption period on that property where the prior owner could come back and claim that property. In essence, there's a little bit of a cloud in title there for those 9 years. And it's a little bit harder to sell those properties because you can't make any improvements on them until that time period is up.
Interesting. So exactly how do you identify and purchase these properties before the sale?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Silver One Resources is an exploration and development company backed by strategic investors Eric Sprott and SSR Mining. The company is focused on its Candelaria mine project in Nevada, where there is already a historic resource estimated at 127 million ounces of silver. The Candelaria mine historically was the highest grade silver producer in Nevada, generating over 68 million ounces of silver at an amazing average production rate of over 1,250 grams per ton. The project has tremendous expansion potential, as past drilling has outlined deeper, high-grade silver targets for future drill programs. Silver One is highly leveraged to the price of silver and is cashed up and poised to increase shareholder value. Silver One trades in New York under the ticker SLVRF and in Toronto under the ticker SVE. To learn more, go to silverone.com. That's silverone.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Yeah, so the lowest hanging fruit as far as people who we purchase property from are people who owe back taxes, who live away from the property. So if you can acquire a list from a county of people who are delinquent on their taxes, that's a great list to start with. So we may scrub that list. Now that list may be thousands and thousands of items long.
Yeah,
we'll scrub it down to the attributes we need for mailing. And we will actually mail those landowners an offer, a true offer on their property. Now, we're hoping to purchase 1 or 2 out of every 100 mailings. If we get about a 3 to 5% response rate and a 1 to 2% buy rate, we know we're in the right market, and we know that our pricing is right.
What percentage of these people have bad addresses that you're mailing to?
Yeah, I mean, there's I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say for every 100 mailings, there's probably 20, 30 wrong addresses. But the great thing is there's a service that we use. The amazing thing about this also is you can automate so much of this business. So you can use mailing services, and they may take that incorrect address and convert it to a correct address for you. For instance, lob.com is able to do that for us.
So it's actually where someone with a bad address could be a much better prospect, because presumably they're getting multiple mailings from others who are looking to do the same thing. And if those people don't follow up, which most people don't, then you've got a much better crack at it then, right?
That's exactly right. We call those envelopes that come back in the mail with the little yellow sticker on them liquid gold, because not many people are going to sit down and go through that stack of envelopes and find where that owner is. So I remember, when I first got into this, sitting down and going through those envelopes on a Saturday morning and finding that person's contact info, whether it be phone number, email, or I'll mail them another letter. And I've purchased multiple properties that way for sure. Interesting.
So do people ever just find you who you haven't solicited and ask you to buy their properties, or this is strictly people you're looking for?
I would say 95% of the time it's people we're looking for, people that we mail. I would say every once in a while someone will contact me on Facebook, or I'll have a prior seller contact me and say, hey, I have other properties to sell. Right. Do you want them? But typically it's a pretty active process. We have to go find our leads, and we find those leads with our mailings.
So, well, what's the drawback to the business? Every business has risks. Every business has issues, right?
Right. Well, there aren't many drawbacks. I would say that because the barrier for entry getting into this is very low when you're looking at cash that's required and when you're looking at time that's required. If you have 5 to 10 hours a week, this can be an amazing side hustle for somebody. And before you know it, you can replace a car payment, a house payment, that type of thing with your passive income. I would say the drawbacks are it's simple, but it's not easy. So you have to be very, very consistent in this business with your mailings and very consistent with your marketing. We call it the M&Ms, the mailing and the marketing. If you become less consistent with your mailing, you're going to have problems generating deal flow. Deal flow solves everything, as you know. And if you're not going to be consistent with your marketing, you're going to have a hard time selling properties. So it really comes down to numbers. If you can consistently mail and keep those numbers at a high degree, and if you can consistently market and keep those ads rolling out at a high degree, you're going to sell these properties. We sell these properties in 30 days or less a lot of times, sometimes 30 to 60 days.
30 to 60 days, huh? And do you ever market on eBay? You tried eBay to sell properties? I've heard that's a good place.
Yeah, I've sold a few properties on eBay. eBay is not free, however. We like to stick to the free platforms. Facebook is the big one, Craigslist, and my buyer's list. Which I've been doing this for 4 years now. I have a buyer's list that's thousands of people long. So I hit their email a couple times a week and find buyers that way. eBay, I have sold a couple properties on. I typically reserve it for a property that I'd like to kind of wholesale for a quick profit and move on.
Mm-hmm. So that's good. So you build a mailing list over time. And hey, how many properties are you buying and selling nowadays in an average year?
In an average year, yeah.
Not that there is such a thing. I started
my first year, we did 30. My second year, we did 60. My third year, we did close to 90. I think this year I'm on track for about the same as far as that goes. I'm continuing to work on my systems. So that, that's an ongoing process. Mark will tell you this is a get rich slow business. It's not a get rich quick business.
We don't believe in get rich quick.
It's a challenge to scale it to the point where you can do multiple hundreds of deals a year. But that's where I'm headed with this. So it's taking off nicely.
Very interesting. And as far as improving your quality of life, you get to spend a lot more time with your kids now and with the wife, and you feel that has really improved the quality of your life, hasn't it?
It really has. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be able to quit my job as a physical therapist in 3 years. This last summer was the first summer I've had I haven't had an 8-to-5 job for probably 20 years. So to be able to go golfing with one of my sons on a Monday and fishing with another one of my sons on a Thursday morning, man, you can't put a price on that. So it's been a phenomenal ride the last few years, and it's just getting better and better. So,
oh, hey, it sounds great. It sounds so. People want to find out more, learn how to do this. I assume you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this thing out, do you?
No, I am not an economist. I am not a real estate investor or a marketing person or salesperson by trade at all. I had a little bit of computer knowledge getting into this. If you have grit, if you're consistent, I really believe that anybody can do this. And I would highly recommend Mark's book. I don't know if you've read that, Carrie, Dirt Rich by Mark Podolsky. It tells his story in the business from when he started in 2001 to present. And it's just a great resource for people who are maybe looking at getting into land investing and starting their passive income journey. So I'd check that out. And then I'd also check out the landgeek.com. And then we have channels on YouTube and Facebook as well.
All right. Hey, well, it's been interesting talking to you, Scott. Any way for people to find you, contact you on the web?
Yeah, you can search my name, Scott Bossman. You'll see my land selling website, I'm sure. You can find me. You can email me at scott@thelandgeek.com if you ever want to talk about any of the programs that the Land Geek offers. I'll tell you my story in a little bit more depth and try to help strategize what might be good for you in moving forward. And those are probably some good ways to get a hold of me.
All right. Hey, we'll have a link to your site in the show notes. This interview on Financial Survival Network. Questions, comments? What do you think about this prospect of starting your own land business? Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter handle is @KerryLutz. Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Scott, thanks so much for coming on. Tell Mark I said hi.
I will do that. Thanks a lot, Kerry.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.